Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel Making Stuff with Mrs. Barodi. I promised you that I'd be showing you an art project, and today we're going to focus on using some household items. You might recognize this guy from the last art project, to make a mandala inspired drawing. The first thing we have to do is start with our paper. Now I have a piece of regular drawing paper. It's 9 inches by 12 inches, but if all you have is construction paper, or you have computer paper at home, any kind of paper will do. If it's a rectangle like this is going to be an easy way to turn it into a square for our drawing. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to do with my paper is turn it so it's nice and vertical. And because I'm a right-handed person, I'm going to take this corner and I'm going to fold it this way so it lines up with the edge of my paper. If I'm a left-handed person, I'm just going to do the same thing in the opposite direction. So I'm going to take my right-hand corner and I'm going to fold it in this direction. And what I'm doing is trying to line up this edge so you can see we're sort of making a triangle shape. I'm being very careful. I'm not pressing down really hard yet until I'm sure of where my lines are. And then I'm going to just gently press. I don't need it to be a crispy fold because we want our paper to be flat later. So now I'm going to take my paper and turn it. And you can see we've made a triangle, and then we have this sort of rectangle shape left over. So to help me out later, to make sure I have a nice straight line, I'm taking my left hand and holding the paper flat, and I'm going to take my pencil. I'm going to drag right along that line. I like using a pencil because if we make a mistake, we can always erase it. But if all you have is a pen or a marker, go for it. So now when I open up my triangle shape, you can see we've sort of made a square. Now this is the part where if I had scissors, I could cut along that line. But we're going to pretend that I don't have scissors. So in order for me to get rid of this, I have to fold the paper again in order to rip this part off. So I'm going to take my paper, I'm turning it upside down so you can't see the line anymore. I'm taking this bottom part, and now you can see my pencil line. I'm putting my hand in the middle and I'm pressing really gently. And I'm going to drag the paper back. See how my edges are lined up? I'm going to keep dragging it back until my pencil line is sort of almost not able to be seen anymore. And then I'm going to press down with my hands. Okay? This is the point where we want a crispy fold. I'm going to take my thumbnail, press down really hard on that fold, and drag it across like that. Okay? Now I know that I can rip this off really neatly, but if you're afraid, I don't know if my fold is crispy enough, you can always take your paper, fold it in the other direction, and then take your thumbnail again and drag it right along that edge. Okay? Now I'm going to press down here with my finger, hold it right up against the edge, and I'm going to hold onto the corner and I'm going to gently start pulling. You can see it's going to start ripping away from the paper. I always move my hand down, so I'm holding onto the paper so I have a nice, neat rip. And now you can see I have a square that we can start using our mandala for. Okay? Step 1, done. This is the part where you could turn it over if you'd rather have the fold this way, whatever makes your little heart happy. So, those of you that have done projects with me before, when we've done our concentric circles, those are circles that share a center and are equal distance apart as they go out from the center. We're not super worried about that because a lot of us probably don't have compasses and things at home. I'm going to start with my biggest paper plate, my biggest circle. You could use bowls, cups, maybe the container that your markers are in. I used this for one of my drawings because it was the perfect circle that I needed it to be. Whatever you have at home. So I'm going to use my plate and I'm going to line it up so it's mostly in the middle of my paper. I'm looking to see how far away it is from all the edges. Now when we trace something, we hold our hand in the middle and make sure it doesn't move anywhere. And I'm going to take my pencil, I'm going to very carefully trace around the edge of my paper plate. When I lift it off, wham, perfect circle. Look at that. Now the next smallest circle is my other paper plate. So again, I'm trying to line it up. If I put it here, that's not in the center because it's not the same distance from the edge. I'm going to use my eyeballs and my fingers and do my very best to put it in the middle. Again, holding it nice and firm. And I'm going to go all the way around. So those of you with little hands, or you're not quite as good as you think you should be with tracing, you can always ask another person to hold your stencil for you. So now I have 2 circles. I'm going to do 2 more. So I can use the top of the cup, I could use the bottom of the cup. But if I want to keep going down in size, this part is bigger than this part. So I want to use the top next. Make sure it's in the middle-ish. Grabbing my pencil all the way around that edge. Look at that. And we're going to do one more circle. I can do the top of my cup. I could do the bottom of my cup. I think I'm going to do the bottom. This is where things get trickier. Now I have nice big hands compared to this cup, so I can put my fingers right in there and trace around my cup. So now I have my 1, 2, 3, 4 concentric circles. Now let's see. What could I turn this into? I could turn this into a bullseye. I could make it an egg sitting on a plate. It could be just about anything I wanted it to be, but I'm going to turn it into a mandala. And to do that, I need to do some designs. And I'm going to show you a couple examples of what I did before. So on this guy, you can see it's just about the same as that one. But on this one, I used my colored pencils and I colored in each of the circles a different color. And then I took my fancy markers and I traced my outline so you can't see my pencil lines anymore. Now after I've done this, I can come back through with a crayon, a Sharpie, a pen, and I could add some more designs on there. I could turn this into something that is like an optical illusion. I could keep using those lines and going around and around. So that's an example of one with color. I've started it. I could even add more to it. This one is just black and white. So on top of my pencil, I took a Sharpie marker, I used a skinny Sharpie, and I used a fat Sharpie. So I used a skinny Sharpie marker like this, and a fat Sharpie marker like this. And you can tell the lines that I used the fat Sharpie on, and you can tell the lines I used the skinny Sharpie on. So you don't have to have color in your mandala to make it look interesting. On this, I used my marker and I drew triangles. Now I'm awesome. I've done this a lot. So all of this I basically just did with the marker. But if you're afraid I might make a mistake, then definitely use your pencil first before you come through and add in some more lines. I could leave this black and white. I could add more color to it. Whatever makes my heart happy. So those of you that are home and saying, I can't do art because I don't have markers and all that fancy stuff that Mrs. Brody does or that I have at school, you don't need much to make a really cool piece of artwork. This is just pencil, some paper plates and cups, and then a couple of my Sharpie markers. You might not have Sharpie markers at home. You could use your pencil, absolutely, to make this look interesting. So I could take my pencil, this is just a 4B, so it's kind of a soft pencil, and I can press down really hard with it, and already I'm changing my design because my line is darker than it was before. Whoop. I made a mistake. Always erase it with my eraser. Now you guys are going to do a much better job tracing than I am right now. My tracing's a little squiffy. I could take my pencil, hold it back here at the end, and I could shade things in really, really lightly. My older kids who've done similar project like this, my challenge to you is how can you make this even more interesting with those skills that we've already practiced at school. So now that I have some of that pencil in there, I could come back with my finger or a tissue and I could blend that in. I could even press down nice and hard on the outside, and as I came in, press down lighter. That would make it look almost like a 3D shape. Look at that, already looking more interesting. So for this week, older and younger kids, try tracing some of those things you have around your house. You could do circles, or let's say you might have some coasters at home that are squares. You could use the squares to do the exact same thing. I could do smaller squares and make them bigger as they go out. Whatever you do, I want you to remember to stay safe and to be kind and definitely be creative. All right, I'll see you guys next time. I want to see definitely all of your drawings. If you get a chance to email them to me or shoot them off to our Google Classroom. So until next time, like I said, keep being creative. I want to see some awesome mandala inspired art from you guys. All right, peace out.